Greetings, everyone. Mr. Evans here again for another session of Weekly Math Challenge. Today we have a doozy one. Well, it just kind of depends on how you look at it. Let's start off and get right into Mr. Evans' six-step framework. First thing we want to do is read the entire problem. And the problem here today says, the left side of the auditorium has 25 rows with 16 seats in each row, while the right side has 7 more rows but 1 fewer seat in each row. How many seats are there altogether? So, going with the next step of my six-step framework, I typically go ahead and rewrite the question as a statement. So, there are blank seats all together. Okay. So now that I've written that down, the next step of my framework is what is the problem about? It's about two sides of an auditorium. So let's go ahead and say we have a left side. I'm going to put LS to stand for left side, and I'm going to put RS to stand for right side. And then Mr. Evans is going to draw his tape line to kind of get some representation there. Now, what I do know, as I'm getting ready to draw my model, about the left side of the auditorium, that is there are 25 rows and there are 16 rows in each. So kind of seeing how Mr. Evans has done his model before in the past, I like to draw these boxes here. And for the sake of today, we don't really want to write out all 25 rows with 16 seats in each. So really what Mr. Evans is going to do is I'm going to kind of jump ahead and make this nice little rectangle shape that kind of says ... continued. And I'll pick up like at 24, number 24 with 16 and our 25th with 16. So now I know I have 25 groups of 16. Now for the right side of the auditorium, they say there are 7 more rows, but 1 fewer seat. So that's 7 more rows. So if there was 25 to start for the left side and right side has 7 more, I'm going to add 7 to 25. 7 and 5 make 12. I carry that 10 to the next 10. So I have 10 and 20, which makes 30. 30 and 2 together make 32. So there's going to be 32 rows and 1 fewer seat. So I'm taking away 1 from 16 and I get 15. So these are my rows. These are my seats. So like I did for the left side of the auditorium, I also go for the right side of the auditorium, make my rectangular shape for my first box here with 15 in them. Draw my rectangle that kind of continues on. Make it a little bit longer because it's going to surpass 25. And we're just going to kind of jump ahead here to number 31 and then 32. Okay. So now I'm looking at 25 groups of 16 and 32 groups of 15. Whew. How do we write that as an equation? It will generally look like this: 25 groups of 16 and 32 groups of 15. So now for my fourth graders, you're probably panicking like, what? We haven't done two-digit multiplication yet? And you're right, we haven't done that yet, but it's a great challenge. Now for some of you, did you add 25 16 times? Whew, that's quite some math, right? Or for some of you, did you add 32? Whew, 15 times? Whew, yeah, that's a lot of work. So let's go ahead and do our quick introductory for you fifth graders that already know. Mr. Evans is going to go into the direction of an area model. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to solve it by drawing out an area with a rectangular shape. I am going to start with 25 groups of 16. I am going to take my box and I'm going to draw out my area spaces to represent 20 and 5 here, 10 and 6 here. So what you'll see is I just did number bonds of the two numbers that were involved here, 25 and 10 and 6, which makes 16. Or as in Mr. Evans' classroom, we like to call it 10-6. But, that's another story for another day. So in these areas, I'm going to solve for these two multiplication problems here, 10 times 20 or 1 times 2. How many zeros were involved in that problem? We have 2 zeros there. 10 times 5, which gives us 50. 6 times 20, 6 times 2, that's 12, add the 0. And 6 times 5, which gives us 30. And then I want to take all these numbers and add them all up. Mr. Evans likes to always, play around with numbers, do that mental math. But for those of you that don't like to do that mental math, you just simply rewrite your problem just underneath. Or you can rewrite it out here to the side. It's up to you, whichever works best. Okay, so we got our zeros there. We got 2 and 5, that makes 7. 3, that makes 10. I carry that 1, so I got 1, 2, 3, and 400 is your answer there. So we know this one altogether makes 400. Okay, now let's do another one to solve for the next one. Same thing we're doing. Getting that rectangular shape going. Okay, make sure you guys can see this. Getting that rectangular shape going, I'm going to split that to those two areas where we can see. And then we're going 32 groups of 15. Notice that I am putting the largest number on the longest side, not the shortest side. Do that for relative and size, so that way it makes sense. So once again, we have 1 times 3, which is 3. How many zeros involved in that problem? 2 zeros. 10 times 2, which is 20. Now we got 5 times 3, which is 15. Let's bring that 0 down and add to that. That's 150. And 5 times 2, which is 10. So now that we have that solved there, once again, like I said, we can solve off to the side. Everybody see that? Okay, solve off to the side by stacking these numbers on top of each other. Add them up. Got my zeros there. 5 plus 2, that's 7. Plus 1 more, that's 8. And I got 3 and 4, which is 480. So I have 480. So remember, the goal is to find out how many seats are there all together. That was what we initially started off with. So now that we know how many seats are on the left side of the auditorium and how many seats are on the right side of the auditorium, our job now is to take these two numbers and add them together. So you have 400 plus 480. So if I'm looking at that, I solve it from left to right. I got 400 plus 400, which is 800. I look at my tens place. I have no 10s there. I have 8 10s there. So I'm going to just write 8. And I have no 1s. So I'm just going to put 880. So there are 880 seats altogether. So that's it for today. I hope that was happy math solving for you all. This was a fun problem to do. I look forward to solving the next one with you next week. Have a great time with math and enjoy the experience. See you later.